Like crypto is some like dark topic for me, to be fair. Like I always escaped from this,
Yeah.
even though now I have to use it because of the
Okay.
conversion. Like if I need rubles, for example,
Okay.
just because there's no way to do Swift, there's no way, right?
Okay,
It's like
so
it's like two different planets we exist
Yeah.
on,
Yeah.
and that's the only thing which can help like me or other people to convert crypto because there's no other way. This is where I had to learn something at least.
So mind us asking, right? Like because Russia is in
I think our topic completely moved on.
No, it's just
He's just always, he loves politics, so don't mind
It's
him.
okay,
We
just
can cut it off.
please.
We can cut it off.
So the central bank actually gave the permission to like local banks, all these banks. And now there is the system of like quick payments between banks and between providers. So if you go to the store or restaurant and you need to make a payment and you don't have a card, all you do, you scan the QR code with your phone camera. It redirects you to any of the banks you have.
Okay.
And you make instant payment.
Oh. Wow. Okay.
So like this. Okay. All banks basically are.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Dollar Diaries podcast. Today, we have an amazing guest with us. Her name's Yulia. She works with Alaan, which is a Y Combinator-backed company. We're here to talk to her about Fintech, what it is like being Fintech, and what really is Fintech. All right. Welcome to the show. How are you doing?
All good. Nice to meet you both.
Nice to meet you.
Happy to be here.
Before we get started, just give us an introduction about what you do at Alaan. And how do you go about your day in general?
Yeah, thank you so much for this. Well, I started with Alaan when we basically had two people in Dubai, which were the co-founders, and almost zero sales. So it was just, the pilots that founders themselves actually closed. And they obviously wanted to scale the business and start selling. And here I went, to start all of this. I've been doing sales for the last maybe 8 years in different startups across the world in the US and Russia and here in the UAE. So I joined Alaan back in end of summer 2022 to lead sales. And here I am leading sales now. My team is more than 7 people now.
And what has the process been like starting from absolutely no sales to driving all that sales, which I'm guessing you were a big factor in, right? Like, how did it feel like to start with nothing and come here all the way?
I would say, actually, it's my superpower in some sense to do this. It's not the first time I did it. And this is what I love the most, to actually do something from 0 to 1, as they call it in startups. When you have, like you said, nothing and you have to do something. It's both, it's actually a tricky thing because it's both looks easy because you have nothing. It's very easy to do something, right? But at the same time, it's so challenging because no one knows who you are. What's your product? Why they should buy it, right? There are no reasons for that. And you have to go out there and convince people to do something like this, like to buy this product. So I would say it was challenging, but very, very interesting for me. And regarding the point where we are now, so as I said, from probably 5 closed deals, now we have more than 400. Yes. And of course, I feel so happy.
Congrats on that.
Yeah.
Thanks. You said you worked in US, Russia, and Dubai. How is it like? What would you say is the cultural difference between working in the US and working in Dubai, and also working in Russia?
I can speak only from the perspective of sales, right?
Yeah.
Because I've never been a developer or something like this, right? And to be honest with you, my fintech experiences only started in Dubai. So I can't really speak for the US market. But from the Russian perspective, I can speak a little bit because I can't say this probably, but we have one of the best fintechs in the world.
Okay.
That's for sure. Of course, with India, we compete, but that's what I learned already. But I would say that the biggest differences that I see in terms of sales is that people connection, people communication, visiting clients, talking to them on the phone, not just emails, not just like some, cold messages on LinkedIn. This is a huge difference. People here, maybe because of culture, maybe because of I have no idea, but I think it's the culture. People have this trust in you only after they see you or talk to you. They need to know you in order to trust you and your product. So even if you ask me now, what's my day, right? My day consists of a lot of like physical meetings with clients when I actually go and meet people. I don't really just sell Alaan as a product because it comes all together, it comes the trust in what I say, in who I am, what I offer, and what's the product of.
Well, do you think is that the case because Alaan's not necessarily a B2B service compared to perhaps like a B2C product? Would you think that would change in sales, or is the trust factor still an important thing for you to sell?
Okay, we can speak a little bit about my experience in Mamo, for example. That was also B2B sales for me, but product-wise, I would say, okay, I will give you some sales term, ICP, right? Ideal customer profile. In Mamo, it was something similar to B2C because it's a super small micro business that may have 2 employees. One of them is actually the CEO of the company. So you actually deal with a person, with a consumer, right? And it's not super different still. Still, the trust comes first. And it doesn't mean you have to visit them every day to convince, but you have to have something to offer, like something they will trust on. For example, the name of the company, people you work with already as a company, right? Like Mamo or Alaan, doesn't matter. Founders, who they are. Because it's all about finance, so it's a lot of scam happening. So people need to have this trust.
Do you think it's also important who refers you to them, because then they're responsible for referring you to your clients? Like, for example, do you get what I mean? Like, for instance, they sort of hold, if you're assuming, let's picture this, like I'm a scammer and you're I'm pitching myself and my company to you, and he refers me to you. And if I try and scam you, his reputation sort of goes down. So has that ever like happened to you in your work experience? Like, how have you dealt with that?
Sales that I do, they are mostly cold sales.
Okay.
So there are not many references in place, right?
Understood.
It's mostly when you have to reach out to the business owners or CFOs, like finance directors.
Understood.
From scratch. So they don't know him, you, or like
Understood.
me. They need to.
There's no like networking aspect of like this founders like sort of refers you to the to Alaan, and then that founder connects you to another founder. That never happens?
No, that happens, of course.
Yeah.
Especially the reference part happens a lot now when we are at this 400, plus businesses.
Yeah.
Of course, now we have this person who knows someone who loves the product. Let's refer. It happens. But I wouldn't say that. Maybe it's like maximum 5% of all customers. Yeah.
But you've sort of built that credibility, so it doesn't matter anymore, like as much, because when you're starting from scratch, it would probably matter more when like you're getting those referrals. Yeah.
When you're starting from scratch, I have my own approach, which I use a lot. So when you're starting from scratch, especially in the region like MENA, like this, like Dubai, UAE, where trust is super important. For you, it's very important to actually get the first clients who will be your social proof, right? Who will actually be this trust for others. So, for example, when Alaan was maybe had like 10 customers, yes, we can launch like marketing campaigns, which we did. But how helpful it is, they will still have trust issues because it's something unknown for them. But once you have some good name, people know on board, like for example, now we have or Masafi, right? If you hear this like names, you already have more trust in the product, more credibility.
And to what extent that the Y Combinator backing helped it? Has it helped at all, or is it because Y Combinator is a US based company, right? Do people have an awareness of what Y Combinator is? Has it helped?
I would say it helped with companies that know who Y Combinator is. For example, if it's a startup or if it's like, even if it's another company, in the IFC even, it doesn't matter. But if they know who Y Combinator is, it will help. But we deal with a lot of traditional businesses. I just told you the names, right?
Yeah.
They don't know what Y Combinator is, and it's not really helpful. But when you explain, for example, what it is and that you're the only spend management provider chosen by Y Combinator in the region, it at least differentiates you from the competition.
Speaking about the competition, right? We see a lot of competitors, especially in the spend management coming up, like Casio and few of these people, right? Why is it that this economy is a great place for startups, especially in fintech, to come up? Is there a reason why everybody's coming into Dubai?
I think fintech in general in the UAE is something super attractive. It's been like this for years now, and it's still going to be like this. I spoke with my friend who is a CFO recently. He's been CFO of different companies in the UAE for years. And he told me also that it's still not even like, it's not going to end like tomorrow, this fintech boom. No, because obviously this region has a lot of potential for fintech, right? We have banks that are not trying to develop new things. A lot of processes are super outdated. And young people, right? They want to have everything on the phone, quick, fast. This is why products like Mamo, for example, appeared, because the founders of Mamo, they realized that you can transfer money even, to each other super fast, because back then Emirates and BD would wait 24 hours for you to even add the beneficiary.
It's still the case.
Yeah. So it's such a problem, right? And for example, I'm coming from the country where in my bank, I can do everything in, seconds, anything. So of course, you need some products like this that will help you, especially if we talk about younger generations. And regarding Alaan and why the space is so competitive now and more companies even are coming, again, just because there was nothing like this and everything is so manual, any company I go to, I see the same thing, like everything is super manual. And this is why Alaan and other players are super successful, because we have a big potential and nothing was created before. Banks are not covering any of this. So why not?
Yeah, I think banks are like a little too, they caught up within their own world sort of a scenario, right? Where what happens, we were having a chat with our friend the other day on the podcast, and we had this problem with ADCB particularly, right? I use ADCB, he uses ADCB. So once when we were coming to shoot our podcast, he lost his wallet, and we were trying to, just block the card, and we had to, there was no option on the app. There was no option. Like we called them, we got like Arabic response. I was really mad at me because I suggested ADCB was better, because we both initially had Liv, but Liv, I mean,
I switched to ADCB because he's like, it's better customer service. So I was
and this was the worst customer service we've had. Not just that, even with Liv or all these things, like even when all these large corporations, large banks try to innovate, they come up with Liv and all these neobank sort of systems. And they're also, at the end of the day, a very substandard product, right? Because you take a good example, because I absolutely hate Liv, because they're like basic things, right? Like, hey, I want to cancel my card. Hey, I have a trouble.
Liv
Who do I
could
call?
be your client. No.
Okay. They're a bank, man.
They're parts of NBD, I think.
Yeah, they're parts of NBD.
Yeah.
Right. The problem is, like, you can't call somebody. There is no office space to work. There's no chat. You get to chat with the AI bot over there, which is absolutely miserable. And there is no thought process put into when it's coming from like a already pre-established bank. But when it comes to startups, there's a lot more innovation and a lot more management in that. And I think I don't think that is something that banks could ever compete with in a large sense, right? Like,
I think it's just a lot of bureaucracy in place, right? For them to even come up with some innovation, they need to, like,
Get 50 levels of approval.
Yeah. That's why you were just using one of the value propositions of us, which I use a lot with business customers, of course, because when it comes to corporate, like, owners, it's the same story. If they want to issue a card, it's like 10 levels of approvals needed from the bank. If they need to, let's say, like you said, close some card, going to be the same story. It's the same for you and corporates, doesn't matter. And it's a headache. Imagine if it's your employee who lost it and you had some, I don't know, money on this card, right? Even the limitation doesn't matter. You had this money and now he lost this card. Someone will go and use it and you can't even close the card. Like, it's crazy, of course.
And what is the regulation like in Dubai? Like, is it hard to start a fintech company in Dubai? Because not just from a business perspective, you're also dealing with people's money, right? And you're not an institution per se. You're not a financial institution. It's just a startup dealing with people's money. What are the regulations like? What are the protections that your corporate clients get? And how do you think the tide is shifting? Do you think the tide is shifting to begin with?
Yeah, that's not an easy question to explain, but I will try to. Of course, when it comes to financial organizations, you have to have some sort of license to operate, because UAE regulations are very strict in terms of finance. Maybe that's one of the reasons why many startups couldn't, start operations here. And if we even take a look at Alaan, as the product, as the idea, our co-founders created it 1 year before we actually went live. Just because of this licensing and regulations. The product was already, we had MVP and everything. Product team was working hard, but we couldn't go live. Because what you said, you need, in our case, we needed like a provider who will help us, who will have the central bank license. Otherwise, we can't deal with people's money. And it's not even just people, it's big corporates, right?
Yeah.
So it's even more complicated. I don't think it's some sort of secret that all spend management providers, and not only, even PSP providers, they all deal now with the company called Nimcard. If you know, Nimcard Services, it's some sort of monopoly. There is not you can't find anyone similar to what they do because of the license they have directly from central bank. What they do for us and other providers is basically they allow us to legally operate this way with, like you said, with money of companies, of people, if it's a PSP provider. Yeah. And like you said, when it comes to dealing with businesses, right? One of the roadblocks that I face is exactly this question. How can we trust you with this money, right?
Yeah.
Where will the money be? You're not the bank. What should we do with you? And then I have to explain who is Nimcard, who is Mashrek, everyone knows, but who is Nimcard and why it's this chain,
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the way everyone works. So now after almost 2 years of operations for the spend management providers, it's a bit easier. But at the beginning, it was a nightmare to explain.
And how do you feel like where do you think technology and finance are going in the future? What are certain trends that you're seeing in the market that you think this is where the industry is going to?
It's very hard to say like worldwide. I think this whole world is going crazy about this digital coins and right? Even like, I'll tell you something, like a story. So I've been to Russia, for example, like a month ago and also before. And you know the story, like Russia is sanctioned right now.
Correct.
And we don't have Visa or MasterCard. So I can go with Dubai card and pay there, right? But even there, they're creating this like, digital coins in the banks already. There are some agreements with central bank going on that there will be no cash, no physical money.
Decentralized money.
Yes.
Okay.
And it's not like even crypto. I think it's something like regulated from the government, like at least there.
Decentralized, centralized money.
Yeah,
kind of.
No, they have that, what is it? CBDC or something?
Okay.
Centralized. It's like it is.
It's basically on the blockchain, but it's centralized. Is that how it is?
Yeah, because the problem with blockchain, at least, is that the fact that the bank backstops it is what kind of gives your money value, right?
Okay.
You at the end of the day, it's like whoever holds a 10 dirham note, the central bank of Dubai is saying that in case anything happens, we will
Default,
give
yeah.
you that $10 dirhams worth of things.
Yeah, yeah.
But with crypto, who is the
Yeah.
one guaranteeing the value?
So it's like a clearinghouse, basically.
Not a clearinghouse. So your clearinghouse works where it's clearinghouse is for
Yeah.
two-party relationship.
yeah.
So me and Adi has something going on. You're a clearinghouse, and you say, Adi, give this to him.
Yeah.
You give this to him, and you make sure this
Yeah.
happens. With this, what happens is that again, the 10 dirham note is that it's the note itself is meaningless, right?
Yeah.
It's just a piece of paper, right? What gives 10 dirhams the value of 10 dirhams is that the bank promises whoever holds that note gets 10 dirhams worth of value,
Yeah.
right? So what happens with your crypto is that your blockchain or everybody in the blockchain kind of says that, hey, this person's there, this person's there, this person's there. Everybody promises you that this one coin is worth $1.
Okay.
But what happens is that how reliable are the other people is something you come into question.
So the government probably makes it like
So,
credible. Is that the
that's
case
pretty
in
much it.
Russia?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like crypto is some like dark topic for me, to be fair. Like I always escaped from this,
Yeah.
even though now I have to use it because of the conversion. Like if I need rubles, for example,
Okay.
just because there's no way to do Swift,
Okay.
there's no way, right?
Okay,
It's like
so
it's like two different planets we exist
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
And that's the only thing which can help like me or other people to convert crypto.
Yeah.
Because there's no other way. This is where I had to learn something at least.
So you convert dirhams or whatever currency to
USDT.
USDT
And
and
then
to rubles.
Yeah,
It's a massive pain, right?
Yeah.
But like I think crypto is winning here so much. Right.
It completely like if this solution, so previously sanctions would have worked when you kind of like, you have no other options. Right? But now because of all these options coming up, the sanctions kind of slightly meaningless, right?
Yeah.
It's just a hassle, but
Yeah, but still, at least, I also found it positive for me because I didn't know anything about crypto. I had to learn because how else I would transfer.
If you don't mind us asking, right?
Yeah.
Like because Russia is in a
I think our topic completely moved on.
it's just
He's just always, he loves politics. So don't mind
It's
him.
okay,
We
just
can cut it off.
please.
We can cut it off. Don't worry.
No, don't cut it. Like, listen, I'm just sensitive. Always, how to say this to you? I don't want to make other people like feel something bad.
Yes,
Yeah, like
100%,
that's what I don't want. Of course, I have like my opinion and etc.
100%.
But I don't want to make other people.
We'll just avoid the politics of it. Let's
Yeah.
get to the common, like the normal people, right? Because there is a sanction, there's all the international transactions are massive pain. How do you think the people of Russia have adapted to the sanctions? Do you think new technologies are coming up, or do they find like a very traditional way to do something?
Well, I think I posted something about this on LinkedIn actually, because maybe in India it's the same. I'm not sure, but with us it's like a mentality. We always find loopholes for anything. Like there's no way you can even put the sanctions in the first place because like it's especially when you speak about the country where fintech is so cool. From day one, there are so many these cool banks, new features, everything. So of course, they didn't go traditional way. So my post was about something I noticed last time I went to Moscow. There's no Apple Pay, no Google Pay, nothing, right? Because it completely got canceled. And it's very inconvenient. We're all used to it right now, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to carry your card. I didn't want to. So I even at the beginning, when it all started, I asked my friends to pay for me and then I transfer. It's much easier than to take this card. But what they created like blew my mind because they basically created something similar to Apple Pay, but different way. So the central bank actually gave the permission to like local banks, all these banks. And now there is a system of like quick payments between banks and between providers. So if you go to the store or restaurant and you need to make a payment and you don't have a card, all you do, you scan the QR code with your phone camera. It redirects you to any of the banks you have.
Okay.
And you make instant payment.
Oh, wow.
So like this.
Okay.
All banks basically are connected.
Okay. All banks are in agreement to use this.
Yeah.
That's such a good thing.
Practically, the sanctions useless.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
just a
Major hassle.
Yeah, but it's really cool. Like I
Yeah.
wouldn't think of this ways, you know?
Yeah. No, that's the thing, right? Like most innovations typically
Yeah.
happen because of a problem. And what
Yeah.
bigger problem do you have than a sanction?
Yeah.
Right.
Right. So it kind of makes sense.